Welcome to Dreamlit Tales, where every story is a quiet place to rest your mind and wander through imagination. If you enjoy peaceful stories and calm narration, please like this video and subscribe to join our cozy corner of dreamers. Now get comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin tonight's story. The Gift of the Magi. $1.87. That was all. 60 cents of it was pennies, saved 1 and 2 at a time by bargaining with the grocer, the butcher, and the vegetable man, until her cheeks burned from the quiet shame of needing to ask. Della counted it 3 times, $1.87, and tomorrow would be Christmas. There was nothing to do but fall onto the old, worn couch and cry. So she did. Because sometimes life truly feels like sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles winning most of the time. When the tears finally slowed, Della stood and dabbed her face with a bit of powder. She walked to the window and looked out at a grey cat on a grey fence in a grey backyard. Tomorrow was Christmas, and she had only $1.87 to buy a gift for her beloved husband, Jim. For months she had saved every penny she could, but rent and groceries always cost more than expected. They always do. Only $1.87 to buy something worthy of Jim. Their home was a small furnished flat, $8 a week. Not quite shabby enough to be disgraceful, but shabby enough to try. Downstairs was a letterbox that never received a letter and a doorbell that never rang. On the door hung a card that read, Mr. James Dillingham Young. Once, when money was better and Jim earned $30 a week, that long name had sounded grand. Now with his pay reduced to $20, the two of them had quietly thought about shortening it to something simpler. But every night when Jim came home, Della rushed to him, hugged him tightly, and called him Jim. And the long name didn't matter at all. She turned from the window and stood before the tall mirror between the room's 2 windows, a thin, narrow mirror that showed people in pieces. Della, being slim, had learned how to tilt and turn to see herself fully. Suddenly her eyes lit up. A thought, bright and daring, hit her like a spark. She pulled the pins from her hair. Down it fell, a waterfall of shining brown, rippling and beautiful all the way past her knees. Jim and Della had 2 treasures. Jim had a gold pocket watch that had belonged to his father and his grandfather. And Della had her hair. Ah, her hair. If the Queen of Sheba had lived across the hall, Della would have let her hair hang out the window just to make the Queen's jewels look dull. It was that stunning. Della stared at her reflection. For a moment she trembled. A tear or 2 slipped quietly onto the worn red carpet. But then she put on her old brown coat, her old brown hat, and ran out the door. She stopped in front of a sign that read, Madame Sophrony, hair goods of all kinds. Up the stairs she flew. Will you buy my hair? She asked. I buy hair, Madame said briskly. Take off your hat. Della pulled it off. Her brown hair fell down in a shining cascade. $20, Madame said. Give it to me. Quick. And just like that, Della's precious hair was gone. For the next 2 hours she rushed from store to store, searching for the perfect gift. Finally she found it. A slender, elegant platinum watch chain. Simple, honest, beautiful, just like Jim. It cost $21. She paid and hurried home with 87 cents in her pocket. Her heart was happy. But when she got home, excitement turned into fear. What would Jim think? She lit the gas heater, picked up her curling iron, and worked carefully until small curls covered her head. In the mirror, she looked like a playful schoolboy. If Jim doesn't kill me, she whispered, he'll say I look like a chorus girl from Coney Island. But what could I do with 87 cents? At 7 o'clock dinner was ready. The coffee was hot. She sat near the door, holding the watch chain tightly, listening for Jim's steps. She prayed softly, "Please, God, let him still think I'm pretty." The door opened. Jim stepped in, closed it behind him, and stared. He looked thin. He needed a new coat. His hands were cold without gloves, but he did not move. He just stared at Della, not with anger, not with disappointment, but with something she could not read. Della jumped up and ran to him. "Jim, darling, don't look at me like that. I had my hair cut off and sold because I wanted to buy you a Christmas gift. It will grow back. You're not angry, are you? Please say Merry Christmas and wait until you see what I got you." "You cut off your hair?" Jim said slowly, as though the idea was too heavy for words. "Cut and sold," she said, "but I'm still me without it, right?" Jim blinked, finally waking from the shock. He took her in his arms. "No haircut," he said gently, "could ever make me love you less." He reached into his coat and placed a small package on the table. "If you open that, you'll see why I looked so surprised." Della untied the ribbon, tore the paper, and let out a cry of joy that instantly turned into tears. Inside was a set of beautiful tortoise-shell combs, the very set she had admired for months in a shop window, the perfect shade to match her long brown hair. But that long hair was gone. Still, Della held the combs tightly and whispered through her tears, "My hair grows fast, Jim." Suddenly she remembered the chain. She held it out proudly. "Look, Jim! Isn't it perfect? Give me your watch and see how it looks." Jim smiled softly, sat down on the couch, and put his hands behind his head. "Dell," he said, "I sold the watch to buy your combs." For a moment the room was silent, filled not with sadness but with love. Then Jim smiled. "Let's keep our presents for now. They're too nice to use right away. How about we eat dinner?" Long ago the Magi, wise men, brought gifts to the child in the manger. They were the first to give Christmas presents. Their gifts were precious, but their wisdom was even greater. Tonight, you've heard the simple story of two young people who had only love and gave up their greatest treasures for each other. They may have seemed foolish, but of all who give and receive gifts, they were the wisest. The end.